Coach, as a coach, a successful athlete, what were some of the things while you were training competitively? What was your favorite action?
For me, my favorite action was definitely my flesh. When I attacked, I loved to go with a strong flesh. I think that was definitely kind of a signature kind of move for me.
Cody Mattern move.
Yeah, and so I think that was a big one. And also, in my situation, I love to have a good toe shot. So if they got too close, I was able to get the strong flesh, and if they were staying too far away, then I'd have to settle for a nice hit to the toe. So that was kind of a one or the other, and it was just kind of like they got to choose the action that I was going to try to use.
And how were you practicing those actions in practice?
I mean, a lot of what has to happen is, and I think this is an important factor, is that a lot of people try to draw up the specific play in their mind, and I think this is kind of a mistake. Because then you almost force the play you want. You want it too bad, and you start seeing things that really aren't there because you want that specific thing. And so the difference wasn't that I would pick a specific play, but I'd kind of create a setup that would enable either. Okay, so the focus wasn't on the end, it was on the beginning. But the beginning focus allowed it. I think of it like this: if you imagine visualizing a situation, kind of creating a movie in your mind of what you want to do, that's what most people do when they want to set up a specific action. What I would do, and now I think of it as when somebody panics, a lot of times that thought bubble over their head pops, and whatever that thing was they're thinking about comes out in reality. And sometimes that thing that you were thinking of is terrible for the situation, and you do it anyway because that's what you are so hyper focused on. And I've definitely been in that situation where I wanted the toe touch so bad, and I popped the bubble, and then it came out, and then I got counterattacked, and it was terrible. It was a terrible idea, but it was because I was too focused on that. But when I focus on the preparation, the in-between setup, if somebody panics me into doing my in-between setup, there's nothing to hit me on yet, and so I don't get penalized. But if I can get to there, and then the next piece is available, I can always add that in. But now I'm looking, it's a little bit more of an eyes open scenario. I get to that in-between step that allows me to take either fork in the road. But I don't know which one it's going to be, and I'm actively looking to see which one is there. Sometimes neither. But if one of those two came up, the flesh path or the foot path, I was looking for those two green lights, and if one of them came up, I pick it and go. And I have confidence in that action, in that situation. If neither came up, I abandon, and I come back and reset the play.
And that's really to the point of having a process-oriented focus,
right.
Whereas you're not product-oriented and thinking about the end, you're thinking about all the steps leading up to that.
Correct.
And now as a coach, how do you incorporate that type of focus and training into lessons and practice with your students?
So it's a lot of it's trying to make sure that the athlete, technically can execute what you want. That's always an important part of any lesson, just going through the mechanics. But once the mechanics start to become second nature, then you want to start saying, okay, now I want to include decision making so that, well, otherwise my students start to guess, and I don't want to encourage guessing. And sometimes as a coach you become pattern oriented, and fencing as a sport is often pattern oriented, and you're really trying to get into a pattern recognition mindset. So as a coach, because I don't want my students to guess, I have to try to randomize those scenarios so that they can't guess, and if they do guess, they will fail. And that way, they're focused on making sure they're in that, like you said, process-oriented position, so that there's never an ability to fail, because you get to that place and either abandon and there's no mistake, or you get to that place, you recognize which fork it is, and then you take the right road. And then when they start to bout, which is also an open skill environment, they're used to that because that's a product of their lesson environment. So I just try to make sure that once you create the initial technical ability, you start to make sure that they're immediately starting to build the mental ability of deciding and having confidence to act on it.
Great tips from world champion, now coach, Cody Mattern. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.